Thank everyone again for coming today. I know we just had the opportunity to pass out our new NCAA rules interpretation clarification that was just prepared by John Levinson, our women's basketball secretary, rules editor, to clarify fouling at the end of games. So the new interp fouling at the end of game, it goes through it. You all have it, so you'll be able to show. Does talk about fouling to just stop the clock. If you do have two hands on somebody stopping the clock, it's not an intentional foul now. It's just a personal foul. Obviously, there are other things that can happen within that. If you take someone to the ground, it can be a flagrant foul. Now, there was some clarification this as well, that if there's a fast break, if you're going down the floor, kind of like the NBA has the clear path rule, if you grab with two from behind, it is going to be an intentional foul. But as you read through this, it does point out and talks clearly to help, as it says, clarifications of the rules. So, hopefully now moving forward, we know as coaches that if you are fouling to try to stop the clock at the end of a game, you're not going to have to worry about the judgment call of, because it was under two buckets. They had two rules that contradicted each other the way it sounds, that you're not going to have to worry about it being called an intentional foul from here on out. So, it's nice to see, because I think it's good for coaches to know that, because going into our game tomorrow night, I was really not sure if do you foul at the end of a game anymore, depending on, what can be called. Because as was put out and shown, with some videos, our end of our Notre Dame game, there were at least three times where they grabbed with two hands, and not one time did I think that was an intentional foul. It was a personal foul to try to stop the clock and put us at the free throw line, which has happened for hundreds of times probably already this season. But now that there's a clarification, it's going to help, the officials know what's going on during the game. So I feel good about that. Still selling wood for anyone that's interested. I chopped a bunch, and I'm not using a wood splitter. It's done by hand, so the price is a little higher. I take good care of it. I've got it stacked right now. It's drying. It's not good for use now. Probably next September, I will take payment installments. I've got the first Rick. Venmo. We can do Venmo. We prefer cash, but we will do Venmo. The first Rick's going for 10,000. So I'm just trying to only have to cut two Ricks. So we'll see. But no, I'm just thrilled, because I think this is a clarification, obviously, that needed to come out, and I'm not sure it would have come out or it would have been addressed, because I'm not sure anybody ever expected that would happen in a game, and that would be made. So I think that's why when the rules were written, nobody really looked at it and thought, wow, that could be called that. So now that that's clarified, I think that's a wonderful thing, and hopefully it allows all of us coaches now to know at the end of games when you're trying to stop the clock, it's just going to be a personal foul. Anything else?
Jeff, for you as a coach that's been around the game for a while and seeing just the rise that women's basketball has made over the past couple of years, is it discouraging at all that you're fighting things like this?
Well, no. It's just not for our game, though. See, it's for the men's game too. No, so this rule is just not a women's basketball rule. I mean, from my understanding, now it's written for us, but I think it's going out to everybody. I think the rule is the same on the men's side. So now there's at least clarification in it. No, I mean, that's part of it. It's part of, as you go through and things happen and you're like I had no idea. I mean, there's several rules that I know what the rules are, and I take great pride in knowing the rules. There's things you can do on the free throw line. Things you can do in the jump ball that other people don't know. If you're lined up on the center, on the circle, you can't move until the ball's thrown up. But if you're outside the circle, you can take off and sprint before it's thrown up. If you're taking the ball out of bounds underneath the basket, if you're allowed to run the baseline, the defender can't reach across the baseline to touch the ball. I'm allowed to stand on the baseline, my teammate throwing the ball out of bounds, I'm inbounds. I can stand where I'm inbounds, reach across, and have them throw the ball into my hand. If the opponent reaches across that line, it's a violation. So honestly, you should never not be able to get the ball in bounds, as long as you can run the baseline. Now, if it's a dead ball, the pass has to attempt to go in bounds. But when you're allowed to run after a made basket, I can simply put my arm across. You can throw it into my hand, and they can't reach across to stop that. And we actually work on that play. So there's things, because I take great pride in knowing the rules. But yeah, I'm just thrilled with this. I think it puts everything. Everybody understands now this wouldn't have come out if it wasn't a concern from Sunday.
Did you ask for the clarification, or did they just?
No, I talked with Debbie Williamson, who does a wonderful job with our officials. She's in charge of our officials in the ACC, and we've had conversations the past 3 days. I have the utmost respect for her, and just ask for, what am I supposed to tell my kids? What are we supposed to do now at the end of games if the same play can be called 2 different ways? I've got to have some type of knowledge to be able to tell them what to expect. So I think it's fantastic that this was able to come out as quickly as it did before our games tomorrow.
Throughout your years, you've used so many different things as teaching moments for your kids, for this program to kind of do things. What do you take out of this moving forward, and what you learned from a crazy situation on Sunday?
Well, I take it we're 9-3 in the league instead of 10-2, so I'll start off with that. But as I talk to the kids, we also had a lot to do with that as well. We didn't rebound the ball. We gave up 20 offensive boards. We had some costly turnovers, some defensive lapses. So we were just as responsible. So we talked about that, and then I talked to them, how resilient are you going to be? We've got a ball game tomorrow night at Boston College, a team that was down 5 with 5 to go at Virginia Tech. So they're good. They are 4th in our league in rebounding. I think they're number 1 in our league in steals, which I don't care what their record is. When you have stats like that, it shows you that you're still playing hard. They're still competing. You don't lead your league in steals in the conference play and then 4th in rebounding if you're not playing hard. So that game's over now. What we've got to do is move forward and be prepared for this game tomorrow night at Boston College.
Jeff, you talked about how the ACC has gotten better each year. What do you attribute to that? Is it just the development of players? Is it, recruiting? What do you kind of attribute to that kind of rise in the talent and competition?
Well, I think it's a little bit of everything. All the players in our league are getting better. I think the transfer portal has something to do with that as well. Where you graduate some players and all of a sudden you might have a year or 2 year have to count on some freshmen. So, it's really going to be a little uncertainty because it's like you're throwing freshmen right in here, and now all of a sudden you can go out and fill in 2 or 3 transfer kids that have the experience. So now instead of having 3 freshmen start, you might only have 1 or 2, and then you're bringing in a 5th-year kid. So recruiting has been a big part of it. I think we have some of the best coaches in our league. So it's fun. Every night you have to show up to compete. That's the one thing that I've always said about this. I mean, there's not someone that I really look at on the roster, the list of who we're playing and say, it's an easy win. It's just not there. I mean, you go down to Pittsburgh. I mean, they've had some great ball games. Been in games all the way in the fourth quarter. So you can't just take anyone for granted. So it's players, it's coaching, it's skill development, it's a little bit of everything.
Although you got the interpretation that you were hoping for, as you mentioned, you are 9-3 instead of 10-2, so that loss can be costly for your team going forward. How do you deal with that part of it?
Well, that's the part that sucks. I mean, there's no question about that. But we can only take care of what we can take care of now. That's in front of us. And as you move forward, you hope something like that's not something that costs you the opportunity to host the first two rounds of the NCAA tournament, a top 4 seed in our league. There's a lot of things of ramifications at the end of our season that could come from that. But at the same time, I've said it. I mean, we did not do things ourselves that could have helped us win that game. But it's nice to get an interp like this to then at least I know I'm not crazy.
Being that Olivia was the one that had the foul called on her, it seemed like she just started heating up with those 4 points quickly. I mean, was there a separate conversation with her? I guess how was she kind of feeling after that?
No, O's fine. O did nothing wrong. I mean, that play happens all the time. I mean, it happens every game at the end of a game, the end of quarters. It happens all the time. I got videos of clips of times we've done it in the past. Teams have done it to us. I've said, you can't do anything about it. I mean, what you did is what you're supposed to do. If she had taken her to the ground, different story. And then I love it. Oh, she wasn't making a play for the ball. Well, how do you know she wasn't making a play? Yeah, she was. The girl was still dribbling. Fair's quick. I mean, she's good. So she's dribbling. Dove across with her right hand, swiped across the body. I mean, if she would have just grabbed her from behind and did a WWE body slam to the ground, then I would, okay, she made no attempt for the ball. But you can't say that she didn't. But obviously we were trying to foul. So it's not, I mean, that's no secret either. We had 2 fouls to give. So yeah, O's fine. O's excited to play again tomorrow. As I've said, it's one thing I love about coaching basketball is it's 3 days and you're back playing again. It's not a week or possibly 2 if it's a bye week before you play.
Talked a couple of weeks ago about Nyla and her development. It seems like she just keeps getting better and better, or maybe it's more consistent in everything that she does. What is it?
No, she's getting better. There's no doubt. Her consistency on her 15 to 18 foot jump shot is so much better. You've got to now defend her away from the basket, which allows her to have more success around the basket. She drives the ball well. She's got really good footwork, and her free throw shooting. Her free throw shooting from this year to last year has improved drastically, and now she's one I can have on the floor at all times. It's not I got to get her out on an offensive defensive substitution. You got to worry about someone trying to foul her. She's had a great year, and she's always in the gym. And now the next step for her is going to be that comfort of handling the basketball. And when she gets that down, then I think it's sky is the limit for, what she can do. Anybody else? I appreciate it.
How tired are you after chopping all that wood?
I feel great. I was up this morning.